What's up, guys? Today I'm working on a 2013 Carrera 4S, and we have very hard paint. Now, typically we talk about soft paint. I can shoot 5,000 videos on soft paint. This is very hard, so how do I address it? We have the extra cut microfiber cutting pad and the regular cut microfiber cutting pad. I'm going to show you the difference between the two of them today on this episode of Ride Along.
This car is so fun.
All right, well, most of the time when you begin a new car, you're typically going to do a test panel. We've always talked about that. And my go-to test panel or to cut paint is usually with a regular microfiber cutting pad. I've said it 1,000 times. I love these pads. But in the background, Meguiar's made extra cut disc. And we'll explain a little bit about the difference. You can probably see it already. And I very rarely use these. So going on here, I'll kind of walk you through the scenario in case you run into this when you're detailing. I start, compounding the paint, and usually what I use is M105 and a microfiber cutting pad. And I noticed it was kind of just bouncing off the paint. I mean, I just wasn't doing anything. And typically, because I do so many Porsches, again, I'm at Speed Sport Tuning, there's Porsches everywhere. I do so many Porsches. Typically, remember, every car is different, but typically it is soft. So my concern is always going to be about the finishing. Cutting is, it can cut in 2 seconds. The finishing is what's going to take a long time. What's fun about this video is this is very, very hard paint. So the cutting is the challenge. The finishing is sort of easy because sometimes, even on white, sometimes you don't even need the finish because it finishes off itself. It's the cutting that's the big issue. So what I needed to do was switch every once in a while to an extra thin or extra cut disc, and I kind of gave it away. As you can see here, this is thick, right? And the backing foam is very thin. So what does that mean? The power of the machine transfers through to the microfiber, pretending this is down on the paint, it transfers through to the paint much easier. So kind of the example I use, if I hold these two up like this one's got a cushion, this one doesn't. If I were to put them both over my eye, which eye do you think I'd want to get punched in? I'd rather get punched in this one because it's softer, meaning it absorbs a lot of the power of the punch, i.e. the tool, so it's not going to lay as much down. This one, boom, if I were to get hit, it goes right through. There's almost nothing. It's flimsy, so the power of the machine goes through to the paint. What does that mean? More cutting. So on this next little process, I put a line here. I've done already the car, and I saved this last little bit to talk to you about metal, and then plastic, and then another technique that I learned from Kevin Brown that was amazing, especially in these sort of situations. So I'll try to take some pictures and show you. It's really bad. Take my word for it. Really, really bad. There's a lot of wipe marks from a dealership with snow in some Northeast car. So very, very bad. Let's go over the technique that you use. And you can use it with this pad, but I'm specifically using it with the thin disc on this particular car. It's kind of a cool thing. So let's hop in and show you. Okay, so here's the technique to use the extra cut disc. Now, before, remember we said my normal go-to, 105, with the regular microfiber cutting disc. On this one, you can go 105 with the extra cut. Still didn't work. For me, I go 100, so M100. So it's much stronger, really great abrasive, and the extra cut. So this has already been primed because I've used it a bunch. So I'll put a little bit more back on here. Now we're going to discuss something really cool that Kevin Brown showed me. Now you're going to watch my arm speed, and I'll talk over the machine and how fast I'm moving the machine. That's what we call a mow down sort of technique. So I'm not looking for anything pretty because this is so messed up. This is so nasty. We need to cut a lot of this off, a lot of the gunk off, and get it wedged in the pad. So I'm not going to try to refine it right now. I'm going to mow it down. Then we're going to clean it out afterwards. So let's get to it. All right, here we go. I'm on 3, put it down, and you still can lean it as well. So if you lean this, you got to be extra careful because this is a razor blade at this point. But I do lean it in these little pockets here. You'll see me, just watch my technique, but you don't, be careful when doing this. This is much stronger than a regular microfiber cutting pad. All right, here we go. On 3, watch how fast I move my arms. Wouldn't you say that's too fast? If you did, I would agree with you. This is way too fast for a normal situation. But my goal right now is just to mow this whole thing down. And so that's what's taken me so long to get this car done. Because every panel like this size takes me twice as long. Okay, so what I just did right there, I mean, it made it look great, but it's not where we needed to go, where it needed to be. The next one you'll see me 2 seconds after this, I'll slow it down. Right now, look at the pad, right? See, it's all smushed in there. And this last little bit right here is actually sticking up because you saw me do that technique like this. That actually cleaned out those fibers, which is kind of cool. But anyways, normally this would all be flat. So I'm gonna take the air and blow it out. I can't plug it in because it leaks and it's really loud. So I'll plug it in off camera. I'll blow this out and then start again and slow my speed down. That's very important. So remember the mow down technique. If it's really, really bad and it's loading up fast and this thing is cutting more than a regular cutting pad, you're gonna get some debris, you're gonna get some residue. So you do it in 2 passes. The only downside is, honestly, is it takes twice as long because I do that, clean it off, do it again. Where in some cases I can just use it with a regular microfiber cutting pad and go through, and it works like butter. So 6 to 1, half dozen the other. Sometimes cars just take more time. Let's move on. I'll show you quickly the last step and then we'll talk about bumpers, and I bet you know what we're talking about. Heat transfer, you gotta go slow. Okay, so I blew the pad out. I'm gonna put a little bit more, just a few drops, nothing major. Same speed, about 3. Put it on the paint and watch how, this is a normal movement, right? Normal speed. Putting downward pressure, it's always good to put pressure. This would be considered normal speed in my mind. Now, in this swoop right here, watch how I lean the machine. It's totally fine to do this. But when I do that, I'm catching the light, and I'm watching this one particular scratch go away. Okay, now with respect to plastic, we know that the heat transfer is going to be a little bit different, and it's always a bit more dangerous working on these areas if you're aggressive. And because we went to the thinner pad, we are in theory being more aggressive. So a lot of you might be thinking to yourself, well, why didn't you just wet sand the car? And you'd be right. I'd probably make my life a whole lot easier if I just 2,000, 2,500, something like that, wet sanded it and then came back but that's not what this customer wanted. It is a daily driven car, just wanted it spruced up. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about doing a customer's car. Make sure that you know what they want. So ultimately the reason I went away from my go-to and went here is the time factor, meaning I could have done it with a regular microfiber cutting pad, just taken a very long time. So in my mind, I calculated, hey, even though I have to do the mow down method and do this twice with this one, which is not always the case, but in this particular car, I had to do it twice, it still would have been less time than with this, because I would have burned through a lot of these pads. I would have heated them up because I'm just sitting there trying to work this and use a lot of products. That's when this one comes in handy. So I would say I use this maybe 10% of the time. So just keep that in mind. I want to talk to you guys. We always talk about soft paint. This one I'm like, whoa, this is really hard. So I think it's important. I pulled this down. You can see the 50-50. It looks pretty good. I'll keep working it a little bit. Again, be cautious of plastic with this thing. This is really, really heavy. So that part where I leaned up to get in this edge, I definitely am not going to do that on here, and you want to be careful these raised edges here. There's actually a little bit of burn through already on here, or a scuff or something. So yeah, be careful with that. These are really cool pads, and they're super helpful. As always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, larry@ammonyc.com. I'll take some after pictures with reflex on there. It's going to look pretty cool, and I think he's going to be happy. And I think you should always have a few of these in the back of your bin, but primarily these are the go-to. But yeah, kind of fun. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.